Hello, everyone. Nice to see you guys. Hey, West Coast people, and a couple of people from other time zones. Welcome to AP World Modern, and this is our study session. And we're basically going to talk about like anything under the sun. But before that, we're gonna have a Q&A session along the way. And before that, once again, we have a Instagram account, we have a Twitter account, we have a YouTube account. So if you want some resources, if you want some high quality memes, just to chill out, just to relax. We're always available. We always have the memes ready for you, so for you to like. And we have quality content. I promise you. So, by the way, I put a poll here. Um, First poll here, it's like I'm asking what unit are y'all on right now. So I see a lot of people are in unit 1. There's a couple of people in unit 2 and one person unit 3. So just keep that in mind as I can gauge how far you guys on the curriculum. So all right. All right. So this is only one of our 50 plus weekly streams. We have a lot of streams, not only in AP World, even in other history subjects. So, but we're gonna focus on history. So next time after this, we're gonna have a stream on gender in the medieval and early modern world with James. Tomorrow, we're gonna have a stream on labor systems with Patrick. In the 15th. By the way, we have a team of experienced students and teachers. So, we've taken the class. These teachers have taught the class for years. So, you can always ask questions. You can always tune in. So, and all of these are based on content. So, on the 16th, we have a religion and early modern empires with Ali. If you're willing to stay up all night, actually, no, I mean, we're in the West Coast, so it's 9 p.m. PST. So, keep that in mind: religion, labor, gender. So we're covering all the themes you need to study in AP World. So we got you covered. And yes, Mr. Beckman states that some of the teachers like Patrick have been AP history readers for the exam too. So they know what you need to put in like your short free response, Um, basically they're narrowing down what you want to learn instead of just trying to pointlessly memorize all of the details in 800 years of history. So, and last but not least, we have expanding empires with Donald. So everyone loves empires. So yep. All right, so back to the study session today. So um, tonight we're going to cover stimulus-based multiple choice questions, especially you people. If you had unit 0, probably did unit 1, 2, or 3 people. Like you probably had a couple of tests, and some of you may know what you're doing, some of you may not. But which we're gonna guide you. We're gonna just bring in a recap, like to drill it to your head. So you wanna because remember, memorizing the content is like pretty much useless if you don't know how to apply it. So we're gonna give you practical applications. We're gonna give you some practice. We're gonna give you some overview and tips that you might want to remember throughout the year. Same goes with short answer questions. You guys probably had some short answer questions before, regardless of maybe freshman year in a different form. So we're also gonna have an overview in that. We're gonna have some good practice in that. So once again, we got you covered. And we're gonna have an open-ended Q&A. So it's more like ask me anything. It's not like it's not I'll keep asking. I already gave you practice questions by then. So it's your turn to ask me. And I already saw a question earlier by someone about Southeast Asia. So if you don't hesitate, like even throughout the stream, if you have a question you don't want to forget it, just ask it there, and we're gonna talk about it first thing in the Q&A section. Like I said, use the ask the question bar below. So drop in the chat or in the ask the question bar. All right. So last but not the least, we've just started this recently, but we're always here to help. Don't forget, we're always here to help. So um, go to if you go to our website fiveable.me, and there's a little bar, there's a little icon there. Some of you are probably familiar with it. Like, so there's a bot that randomly chat like, "Oh, how's it going? Do you need help or anything?" So once you reply there, like we're real human beings, we're gonna reply to you. Um, so if you want to clarify content learning class, like you're confused and what your teacher just taught you want to know some good resources online, you want some practice multiple choice questions. Once again, we got you covered. Just chat like you see in the picture, just chatting with us below. And we're real humans, we're not bots. If you want resources and essays, you want to just talk to someone. If you're stressed, like there's a question there, like I'm stressed because if you just want to talk to someone, high school's tough, but sometimes you came at the right place. So, and once again, we're previous students and teachers who took or taught the class before. So don't hesitate to contact us. All right, moving on. So some of you might look at a picture, you can see it's very familiar to you guys. So it's just we call it a stimulus-based multiple choice question, which is a fancy term for questions that they're like A, B, C, D, but they have a stimulus attached. A stimulus means a document or a visual or an image, and you want to analyze that. So in the AP exam in May, you're gonna have 55 questions, 55 minutes. So roughly 1 minute per question. But don't worry, don't let that intimidate you. And I didn't put that there to intimidate. I'm just showing like how like throughout the year, your teacher's probably gonna build on like they're gonna increase the questions, and now you know why they're doing that because ultimately it's gonna be 55 questions between this unit 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth, and it's 40% of the score. So if you're a good test taker, you like, you like knowing the facts, and you're a better test taker than a writer. So you want to bank on this. You want this to kind of carry you. Like actually, you in the AP test to get a 4, like you don't need or a 5. You don't need to get 100% in the AP test. You just need to do like great or adequate in like certain sections. So maybe this will be your carry. And once again, there's always a stimulus, there's an image, there's a written document. So I mean, you probably know this at this point, but just want to keep that in mind. And they come in sets of 3 to 4 questions. Most of us probably know that too. But um, going deeper, if you haven't noticed, the first 2 questions, 1 or 2 questions, are usually based on the stimulus. So it's like a reading comprehension. Like if you read a story, they're like, "What did the guy do?" Something like that. So you have to look closely at the picture. You want to analyze. You want to look closely at the picture. I'm gonna talk about tips later, but they're usually based directly on the stimulus. You don't need to know any history. You can just let the picture tell the story itself. But the next 2 questions after that, 3 and 4, or they're just 3, they're usually based on your actual history knowledge. So you want to make connections. This is where you got to be careful when you study. Should you memorize all the facts, or do you just need to know the key concepts, the big picture ideas? So usually these 2 questions, you want to connect them. You want to connect them to given stimuli. And this is number 1 tip. Like, if you want to connect that first, you want to place it properly. Like, if I give you a document about some merchant dude ranting about taxes, you look at a citation, you want to know who said it. You want to know who said it. You want to know what's the time period. Is he ranting during World War I, or is he ranting during the Mongol invasion of China? Something like that. And there's a huge difference, and you can tell. And you want to talk about location, because cultures and social and economic policies are different. So like, a merchant ranting in China is different than a merchant ranting in, say, North America. Like culture plays a role in that, so you want to keep that in mind. You want to look at, yeah, before you even read, like even if it's a map, like you want to look at the citation. Usually sometimes they don't help, but if they help, they usually give a time period for primary sources, but you want to keep that in mind too. And okay, so like the next few bullet points are going to be like a tips. So once you look at a citation, you realize it either helped or it did not. Now you want to annotate the text. You want to look at the details. You want to look at the tone. Like the guy, is he angry? Is he overjoyed? Like look at the bias. Look at trends. And read the question. What I mean that I mean duh, you're gonna read the question, but never ever ever rush the question. Like don't skim. Because there you might want one, you might misread it and give a wrong answer, and two, like you skim it too hard. Like you forget there's some questions have keywords like which of the following which of the following does not. So you might miss the word not and you might pick the answer that it agrees to the point of the question instead of pointing out the one that's different, you know. So you wanna read it carefully, but don't read it word per word. Like don't take 2 minutes to read it. Like what is no. Like you want to read it. I mean, once like as you take tests throughout the year, you're gonna realize like how you time yourself. You're gonna practice on how you like you're gonna realize how fast or slow you are. So you want to keep working on that. You want to calibrate that throughout the year. Like you once again like wording. There's either all the following are true except, and you might miss the word except, and you might put the wrong answer. Most describes, you know, stuff like that. And read the choice completely. This goes along with the first one. Some choices are worded to be partially correct. Like this goes with like skimming. So don't skim the answer. Don't just go like the first half and like the first half is like, oh, that sounds right. I'll just pick it. So you want to read all the choices correctly. I mean completely, and you want to read you want to read all the choices and you want to read all of them completely because some of them might be wrong. There might be one word that throws you off that is actually wrong. So you want to keep that in mind too. Trust your first instinct. Like this is true for me, even even during the AP test, like or even during in class tests. Like I regret it. Like sometimes, like don't change your first answer. Usually it's right unless it's really obvious. Like let's say like you're stuck between two answers. Like if you're stuck between two answers, just pick one of them. Like you're good. Or I mean you have a 50% chance of getting it right. But like only change if it's really obvious. So like if these two are talking about like culture and this one's talking about religion and you pick the one that's religion and you realize oh it's about culture. So that's okay. But if it's really like it's hard to distinguish, like just stick to your first answer. Like it's usually the right one, and you don't want to regret like seeing later on that you got it wrong when you were right the first time. So last, don't spend too much time on one question. Remember, you're short in time. You only have approximately 1 minute per question. So you don't want to burn 10 minutes on one question because your mind's like, I knew it was this one. I know it was that one. No, just move on. Let's see. We have two questions. Okay, we'll talk about it later. So thanks for asking. All right, moving on. Last, you don't want if you this is another good strategy for multiple choice question, process of elimination. So you want to like I said, if there's you want to eliminate the obvious. So if there's let's say it's a document about trade and there's choice about religion. So you can just like knock it out. Like you can cross it out, you can put an X on it. Like look for things that are not supported by the document because even if you take a while doing that, like I guarantee you, there's always one answer that's all obviously wrong, and it'll help you in if you're like short in time you want to guess, you know, because it's better getting a it's you have a better chance of getting it right if it's 50% than like 25% or 0%, you know, like you're just purely guessing. Like I said, once you eliminate the obvious, you can at least narrow down to at least two choices and pick the answer that fits the document more. So it sounds really confusing right now, but once we do the practice questions, ooh, yes, practice. Once you see it, you'll see why. You'll see how one choice fits the other more than the other. So we'll see it later. But if you're stuck with number three, don't once again, you don't want that internal conflict for years. You don't want to. You don't want to. You don't want to stay in conflict like it must be A or B or A or B. No. Once again, you don't have time. So yeah, process elimination is a good strategy, especially if you don't know what the topic is. All right, we're heading. Just tell me if I'm going too quick. So um, in the comments and chat, check it out. Oh yes, check out the poll once again. What unit are you guys on? But we will be using the polls. Just a reminder. So here we're gonna pick the answer. I'm gonna show you questions, and you want to pick the answer that you think is the best one. All right. I'm sure you guys are ready. I'm sure you guys are excited to do this. So let's go. Here we have a picture of the Mayan. Oh, hold on. Um, so Mr. Beckman's stating that if you're a teacher and using units, you can use the years. So like the time period. So in the poll, the first poll, like what unit are you guys on? So yeah, just keep in mind. So question number 1, we have here a visual. So we have the Mayan Dresden Codex, circa 1250 CE. So before I proceed, like once again, you want to practice like placing it in the time period. So you're going to be like, oh, 1250 CE, that's the first period. It's the unit 1. So, trying to like narrow it down because you don't want to think about World War One during when it's talking about the 1250 CE, like 800 years before that. So so the question is, the image most clearly reflects which part of Mayan civilization? Is it A, the system hieroglyphics, B, the belief in the creator god Itzamna, C, the Mayan rulers' declarations, divine authority, or D, the solar calendars? So we have a poll here. It's similar space SBMC practice question 1. Put your answers A, B, C, D. I see 2 people saying A, one person saying C. Don't worry, we're not here to judge you whether you're right or wrong. Remember, this is practice, so you want to see what do you want to work on. So I'm going to help you narrow it down. So, all right, I'll count like 20 seconds. So it's in the polls. Practice question number 1. All right, last call. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, before I reveal the answers, so this is an example of the when I went over it earlier. This is an example of the first 2 question type. Like you want to look directly at the document. Just focus at the document. Look at all like the entirety of it. So you want to narrow it down. Like yeah. So also what do you call this? I was going to say something, but I'll talk about it later. So all right, the answer is A. So I'm gonna go over the reasoning. So good job, guys. If you put A, if you didn't, don't worry, we got this. So my mindset is like I'm doing the process of elimination strategy. If you're not, that's okay. So yeah, Anthony, he's like, let's go, Knights. so I was like, look at the picture. Like, what does it symbolize? So I said, so the system of hieroglyphics, A is a maybe. I mean, there are symbols across the codex, so that makes sense. But I don't want to pick it yet because there'll be other answers that are, better than that one. So looking down. So B, the belief in the creator god Itzamna, and then so you see the word God and some dude, right, in the picture. So looking back at the codex, is there a god or a larger being there? Are there followers like bowing down to the guy? No, I just see symbols, so it's not B. So it's not like something you would see in a religious document. You only see symbols literally. So it's not B. Cross out B. C, the mind ruler's declaration of divine authority. This is same as religion. Do you see some guy, like do you see a king or a chief, like a major a major leader standing in top of something, and do you see like followers like bowing down to him? Like it's pretty much the same mindset as B. So I don't see a ruler or a god. So once again, you want to think critically when you look at images. Like just literally don't overthink it. Like take it at face value, like what they're showing you. So it's not C, cross out C. Next, D, the solar calendar. Now that's tricky. you see how I didn't cross it out? That's tricky because um, I was an overthinker before. I was like, what if that actually these symbols were actually months and days? And it is true that the Mayan civilization had a solar calendar, but like which describes it better. This goes back to the see the better fit. Like you see symbols, and like which choice talked about having like symbols and writing systems? If you know what hieroglyphics are, like you just probably think Egypt, like oh those symbols in the cave. Yes, they are right. That's it's a form of writing. So this is a writing system. So A fits it better. So it's not a solar calendar. Some of you may probably think like oh I mean it's kind of obvious, but some may not. So um once again narrowing it down, it see the better fit. So good job guys. Thanks for the Chelsea got him. And Winston's like, yeah. Okay, moving on. Practice question number 2. So we have a good old image here of people in a field and some water in a lake. And it's made by Jose Muro Pico, the construction of the Chinampas, circa 1500s. So the question is the building of Chinampas, which is once again the Chinampas are these like square plots of land, is best described as A, method of intensive agriculture, B, centralized political authority, C, water management, or D, a form of pollution. Once again, use the poll, guys. I'll give you a minute. Actually, 30 seconds sounds enough. All right, 7 people said A. 8 people said A. So you can tell, like, I'm not saying if you people are right yet, but like, you can tell that even if you don't know the history behind like what a chinampa is, but you can see how you can just make connections just by looking at the stimulus. So that's what we want to build on throughout the year. So, all right, 3, 2, 1. All right, 11 people said A, and guess what? You're right. So, um, you can just jump in on like you can just process if you can just jump in there and yeah like work boys. So you can just jump in there and say like oh that's kind of obvious. I mean there's people farming, there's people planting, so it's agriculture like no brainer. Or some of you may go process elimination like B. It's not B because there's no once again it's no leader. There's no. It's not like they're talking. They're like showing like warriors, like they're just bureaucrats collecting taxes. So it's not that. And you can cross out pollution because I don't think it's really polluted. So you can some of you may get thrown out by water management, but you can see agriculture fits it better because water is just purely about like irrigation. Like like sanitary concerns like in like early cities or civilizations. So good job, guys. Moving on. Ooh, say bye bye to pictures. Now we're gonna have some documents here. So thus the barbarian, I'm going to read it. Thus the barbarians from beyond the seas, to their countries are truly distant, have come to audience bearing objects and presents. The emperor, approving of their loyalty and sincerity, has ordered us, Shanghai, and the others at the head of several tens of thousands of officers and flag troops to ascend or use more than 100 large ships to go and confer presents on them in order to make manifest the transforming power of the imperial virtue and to treat distant people with kindness. So which of the following explains why the Ming Dynasty halted the voyages of Zheng He? Is it A, Chinese had a difficult time competing with European technology? B, the Chinese had an unfavorable balance of trade? C, the voyages were expensive and the world beyond China was deemed of little value? D, many of Zhang He's ships have been greatly damaged during his early expeditions. Put your answers in the polls. And you might notice this is one of these questions, like the third or fourth one, like it requires quite a bit of historical knowledge. So if you don't know who Zheng He is or the Ming Dynasty, just give it a shot. It's better than not guessing at all. So all right, I'll check the polls. Let's practice question number 3, guys. Okay, 3 C's. Anyone else? Boop. By the way, as a dude, I'm not saying I'm not saying everyone's like but when I was a student, like don't be that bandwagon who just like when they're just like orally in class, like don't be that bandwagon who just follows the answer for no reason. Like follow your heart. So so yeah. Okay. Just tell me if I'm going too fast. So all right, 5 people said C. Let's see, 15 more seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, 9 people said C. Like you guys are anonymous. Like I like unanimous. Like you guys know your content, huh? Okay, so once again, this one usually requires historical knowledge, and you're right. Once again, good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. It's C. So, um, I use process. You can use process elimination because like one, the document is kind of wordy, and you might take you might take like you to read it twice for you to figure it out, or you can just head straight to process elimination. So so like just a disclaimer, this is like of historical knowledge. So if you don't know any of this, like I recommend that you read it, like you watch Crash Course or any good resource out there. You can ask us after the stream. So all right. So A's, the Chinese had a difficult time competing with European technology. So it's not A because one, they're if you think about it, like they weren't directly competing with Rome. Like, oh, I'm gonna beat you in your trade. No, they weren't like I'm gonna beat you with my inventions. I'll beat you with my ship. Like I have a better ship. No, they weren't like that necessarily. They weren't head-to-head rivals back then. And two, they were pretty much advanced in their own merits because you see this guy Zhang He, even if you don't know him, if this guy can explore across beyond China, beyond like the Indian Ocean Trade Network, they're pretty advanced. Like they know their monsoon technology, they know their sails, they have their compasses, so they were really competing. So B, the Chinese had an favorable balance of trade. Like if you don't notice, you might pick this because makes sense. Unfavorable balance of trade. Basically, they're kind of bankrupt. They're kind of broke. Like they don't have money, or like they're losing in like the trade game. So it's like monopoly. You're getting bankrupt. So they weren't really if you know history, they weren't really like on that verge of collapse yet. Like every other empire to collapse. Um, it is possible, but voyages didn't. Like if you're calling history, voyages didn't stop because they went bankrupt and we're losing profit once again. So when you look here, C is a maybe. The voyages were expensive and the world beyond China were deemed of little value. So he's right. I mean, the voyages were expensive. Like they didn't cost like $5 to like, hey, want to go to Europe, buddy? No. Each like travel back then wasn't as convenient as how we know it today. So it wasn't that easy. So it cost a lot of funds in the government. So D is many of Zhang He's ships have been greatly damaged for his early expeditions. It's kind of true too, because I mean you're going to encounter people throughout the trade series. They'll try to like ambush you. They're gonna try to steal your stuff. You didn't have insurance back then, so I mean this is where it boils down. Like, is it the right? Which is better? Like, what makes more sense? Like, what is more logical? If you're the government leader, like, are you gonna like give up after like 2 ships are being like attacked, or are you gonna give up because like you don't are you gonna give up traveling because you don't want to travel and like yeah, yeah. No, I won't give up. Exactly. Oh, that's a spirit, Anthony. We like that. So, you want to keep that in mind. So in this case, like C is like more logical. Like it's more expensive. Like either way, and like if you think about it, Chinese were more centralized. Like their mindset is more like we need to build this society. We need to make the perfect society. It's not like we need to help everyone. It's not like we need to interact with everyone. So, um it was more of it's more of a conservative mindset. They want to just they're isolated. Let's see. Someone asked a question. So for Verone, you said for the questions you didn't cross out, like the choices, will there be points for them or not? So in multiple choice questions, either you get credit or you don't get credit. So that's why I'm teaching you like a process elimination method, because you want to get the right answer. You're not really gonna get dock points for getting it wrong, but you're not just not gonna get the maximum points possible. So that sounds technical, but basically either you get it right or you get it wrong. So um, you can follow it up if I didn't really answer your question. So yes. All right, back to here. Good job, guys. Most of you said C. Woohoo! All right, this is probably I think our last one. So we're back to images because honestly, like documents, once you get used to them, they're easy. But sometimes images are hard to figure out. I mean, the ones I have probably are not, maybe not, but um, they're more like you have to look closely at the very minute details in the picture so you can figure it out. So here, image one is Hans Weigel, a woodcut of Ottoman Janissary for the 1577. So unit three people, you got this probably. And we have Japanese arcade busiers, which are basically like people with like guns, I guess. So oops. And the question is, which of the following broad trends is alluded to in these images? So it's A, religious warfare, B, mistreatment of ethnic minorities, C, technology transfer, D, growing prevalence of coerced labor. So once again, it's one of those stimulus questions. You don't need to know who the Ottomans are to figure this out. And also, as a bonus, this is one of those AP. This is one of those like big picture questions. So like they want to know about like your knowledge of like the spice tea or the inspectees, like social, political interactions with the environment, cultural, economic, and technology. They want you. They want to. They're asking you if you know. If you know like your stuff, if you know your themes, you're not just memorizing every small detail. Like, oh, let's see, I don't want to go controversial. Let's say Barack Obama was elected 2012, something like that. Like you don't need every detail. So let's see. Ooh, people are split up here. So we have A, B, C, D people. So two for A, one for B, four for C, one for D. All right, I'll give you 30 more seconds. Donald Trump, Barack Obama's relevant. Ooh, okay, spicy. Okay, 30 more seconds. Ooh, they change your answers. Okay, it's either A or C. It's kind of equal. So 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I see some people change their answers like, ooh, okay, I like that. But I like how you guys are thinking. So good job. So the answer is C. So good job, guys. Like, good job. And if you didn't get it, don't worry. I didn't know you could change your answer. Oh no. Okay. So if you like I mean it's the last poll, but like if you click like let's see, I don't see it, but oh yeah, that's okay. But yeah, you can change your answer. Like next time we have another one of these. Let's see. Ooh, lag. Okay, so it's C. Here, it's kind of if you don't know who the Ottomans are, just stick with the broad trends. You want to do the process elimination thing I'm talking about again. So, um, if you look at A, religious warfare, like it makes sense. You know why? Because warfare involves weapons, like Captain Obvious. Come on, but it does suggest warfare. It's one of those answers that are partially correct, but they're not entirely correct. There's not I think I said it earlier, but there's not enough evidence. So if you look here, we have a guy with a musket. If you look at the, if you look at the right, um, these people have guns, so it makes sense that it was warfare. But the real question is it religious? Do you see like people like? Do you see like let's say here, there's like in like the right picture, like do you see like people in like like people and like two groups of people in different attires? Like do everyone have turbans or do they have like those fez hats or like whatever that made you distinguish like they're different religion people? No. That's the problem. So there's not enough evidence. Once again, you want to take multiple choice questions face value. Like just show this don't like add like don't imagine some other guy like in the side like oh he's a Muslim, this guy's a Christian, like oh they're fighting. No, just take this, like there's not enough evidence basically. That's all what it boils down to. B. Mistreatment of ethnic minorities. Hmm. You can tell if it's mistreatment probably because they kind of pointing their guns at them. They're kind of like threatening them, but it's the same thing. Do you see other people in different like? Is there other ethnic groups present in the video? In the not video, but the visual? No, there's not enough evidence. So cross it out or cross it out. So C. Technology transfer. It doesn't make sense because like at first, but like it's a maybe. Like guns technically count as technology. Like weapons, like we used to have spears and axes, but now we have guns. We have we have more advanced weapons. So you can say it's a maybe, but you want to look down. D. Growing prevalence of coerced labor. So coerced labor, you usually think about slavery. You think about slavery. Like, is there evidence of slavery in the picture? It's like religious warfare. Is there yeah, no, please don't spam the chat. So, um, is there evidence of slavery in the picture? No, I only see a guys holding guns. So no. Going back to C, since you crossed out all answers, but hypothetically, you should be left with C. Like it makes more sense actually. Technology to transfer. If you know this goes back, it's better if you know your history. If you know your history, an Ottoman janissary, you would see them in the Middle East. So it's in the middle of like the world. It's like the Middle Eastern region. So that was during 5077. But Japanese arquebusiers, where are they? They're in Japan. So there's a distance between Middle East and Japan. But how did that happen? How did they have the same kind of weapons? It was because did both groups? Oh, good question. Did both groups have guns around the same time period? Not yet. Not. I mean, if you look at the broad time period, like 1450 to 1750, yes, but not during the exact same year or decade. So it takes a while. So, like a little history lesson here, like gunpowder was more. I think correct me if I'm wrong. It was during in the Central Asia, not Central Asia, but like it was developed further during the 1500s, 1450s, in like the Middle East region, and it just spread like everywhere. Japan back then was feudal, if you remember. They just had like those katanas, like all you see in those like stereotypical Japanese movies, like that was katanas. They had those um they had like but yeah, basically they were like not advanced and they were isolated back then. So they didn't instantaneously weren't had the same weapons. So there has to be a transfer. That's why it's letter C. There has to be a transfer between the Middle East or China. Yeah, China had gunpowder, but the Middle East had the weapons. So there had to be a transfer. So um yeah. So I like how you guys are thinking. Good job. Give yourself a pat in the back. Boop boop. All right. So now we're done with stimulus-based multiple choice questions. So we're moving on to SAQs. So what are SAQs? Some of you familiar with it. So there's 13 minutes for each question. It's three questions, 3 parts. So 20% of your score in AP World. So if you're a writer, you can use this as a carry with the essays. So 4 questions, 3 parts each. So there's 4 questions. Like the first 2 are required, but the rest of them, like the rest of the last part, like there's 2 of them. You can pick one of the 2. So that gives you quite a bit of edge because they have like different time periods. One of them is the early modern history. The other is the late modern history, like World War I, World War II. Early is like today, like what we're learning now. So yeah, they're both required, and also usually first question is like secondary sources. So what means so like it's like a historian it's like a historian discussing like let's say Roman Empire back then. There's this guy these like today's historian like 2019 or like 1970 something historians. It's not the exact date. Like when you look at date, it's not like they were alive back then, but they were like discussing it. So that's the secondary source. Question 2 is the primary source. Primary source is what it's directly in the event. So if there's a war, let's say, I mean, I like using World War One as example. So like, it's about some guy in during the war. It's like his personal diary. Unlike a secondary source, which is like some political analyst talking about World War One. You see difference. And question 3 and 4 are required. I mean, not required, but optional. Pick one of the 2. and there's no evidence, there's no stimulus. So either you know it or you don't. So that's why you want, once again, you want to narrow down what you want to study. So you know what to say in the exam. Like, doesn't matter what question they bring you, you got because you got the bread. So, and there are three keywords in the prompts. There's three words that they give you, like the verb words, like the ones they want you to do. Either they want you to identify the changes in the period 1250 to 1450. What are topics usually used for question three? So, oh yeah, but going back. So question three is, I think, 1200. Like, it's not a topic; it's more the time period. So they still get, it's so broad, but they ask you about they ask you during the time period like 1200 to um I think 1750. So like 500 years, I think. I mean, like, because I mean, a lot happened back then. So it's more of the time frame. And then question four, if you pick question four over question three, it's about, like, I think 1750 to 2001, like the present. So if you're more of an old style person, like you like the earlier like empires back then, like the Mongols, pick question three. If you like more of the world wars, like communism, or decolonization of Africa, like we learned it over the year. Pick question four. So you don't have to do both. That's a good part. So I hope it answered your question. Going back, there's three keywords. You want to identify. If they tell identify, just give an answer. You're done. Like, if they ask you, like, identify a change in technology during the period 1250s, like to 1450 in Central Asia. So you can say nomadic groups change from, um, let's say, I mean, I'm just make up an answer, so don't take my words exactly. So, like, you change from, like, spears and, like, double axes to horseback riding and bow and arrows. So you're done. That's your answer. Describe is you give your answer, but you need an example with it. So let's say same question, like on technology, like they shifted from nomadic tribes shifted from dull weapons to more durable ones, like the bow and arrow and horseback riding along the way. Like, for example, um, like, you can give a specific, you want a specific example. So, like, let's say the Mongols use this and that. So basically you want a specific example that comes along with that. So let's describe. Explain is answer. You give an answer, you give an example, and you have to explain how it connects to the answer. So it goes like, so yeah, you basically need to explain why the Mongol tribes, like, help, like, support, like, your argument that what do you call this, that the nomadic tribes change, like, the type of weapons from more dull ones to more durable ones and more efficient ones. So those are three key words. And don't go beyond what is asked. So if they're just telling you to identify, don't be extra and go explain. If they're asking you to explain, don't be like a minimalist and just go identify. Like, you don't get extra credit, you don't get partial credit. Either you get it or you don't. So we have a good old card here. So when writing executes, think A's. So, like, this goes with identify. So answer the question. That's the answer for identify. Cite evidence or example. That's the describe part. Like, you want to describe. If you're describing, like, what you did over the weekend, you're gonna tell a story. Like, you're gonna give examples. Like, I went to the movies. I went to watch a joke or something like that. You give specific details, right? So yeah, students can comment on question and ask a question, upload you want to know too. So going back, so yeah, you're describing it. And when you're explaining it, let's say I watched a movie. Why did you watch the movie? Because I like the movie, or, like, because I'm interested in it. So you're explaining something. You're explaining why you did it. So you're explaining why you're giving the answer in the first place. Like, why is it important? So we call it the A's. Like, they're usually one sentence long each. So yeah, there goes the Ace method. And bonus. I didn't say it earlier, but we have an SAQ practice stream by Caroline Castellanos soon. It's on the 4 days from now, 5 p.m. PST, Pacific time. So If you want more practice on this, I have like a couple questions here, but if you want more practice, you're not confident with this after the stream, just go for it. All right, so we have short answer question. We have a practice question here. So, um, okay, I'll read it. Inner and Central Asia have long been seen as a zone of contact and transmission, a lengthy conveyor belt on which commercial and cultural wares travel between the major civilizations of Eurasia. The nomads had an essential but largely unacknowledged role in this cultural traffic. While nomadic tribes had as their primary objective the control and exploitation of sedentary subjects, the secondary effect was the creation of numerous opportunities for cross-cultural contact, comparison, and exchange. So you see, they're talking about nomads and empires here. Indeed, although nomads are normally included in the analysis of the political context of trans-Eurasian exchange, very technical, they're typically left out of the cultural equation. Here, the great sedentary civilizations are placed at center stage, particularly when scientific and cultural transfers are under consideration. But as we have seen, pastoral nomads were the chief initiators, promoters, and agents of exchange between East and West. So this is a secondary source. So basically, he's analyzing how the impact of nomadic tribes in Central Asia. Like, did they change the world that much, or just quite a little? So I have my questions below. So identify one specific historical example of a cultural exchange between nomads and non-nomads that occurred in the period between 1450. So if you have examples, just drop in the comments below. I'll give you 30 seconds. So like think on what you've learned, like any interactions between nomads and non-nomads. Nomads are the ones that followed the food, they moved around. And non-nomads are the ones that settled. They're usually the empires, they're usually the civilizations. So like think of an example of that real quick for me before 1450. All right, sounds good. Okay, so I'll go. Let's go straight so we can get to the good parts. So you can say that like if you haven't gone over it at Unit 1, you can go over you can talk about the White Huns in China, or like they're like, you know how there was a Great Wall of China. So like out beyond that border in China, there were nomadic tribes within them. Like the Chinese were trying to like make a like build a wall, like um to like stop them from invading. You can talk about like those White Huns. You can talk about the Visigoths in Europe, like these like the one that like led to the fall of Rome, like those nomads. You can talk about the Mongols. They were nomadic. If you haven't, you'll learn about them later. So okay, explain one cultural cross-cultural exchange. So that means like basically like between two regions, so like Asia and Africa, or like Europe and Asia, that would challenge the assertion in the last sentence of the passage concerning the nomad's role in cross-regional exchanges. So it's the last sentence, like I highlighted in blue. So they were arguing that the nomads were basically they're the reason. Okay, I'll go over that. So, as you read, like they're basically arguing that nomads were the reason why they were the main proponents. They were the main cause of cross-cultural exchange between East and West in the 13th, 14th century. So basically, you want a counter argument on that. So I would say I can argue. You could argue Christianity, like okay, like for you can argue that Christianity, like or religion, were spread mostly by merchants and missionaries from like different regions, from non-nomadic empires, from Europe to Africa to Asia. So basically, like it wasn't the nomads who spread the religion. It wasn't that they weren't the people who did cross-cultural exchange. The missionaries. You can tell that missionaries or merchants were responsible for that exchange. Or you can argue that the spread of technology like paper making, guns, were spread through merchants, through like these travelers. So it wasn't, once again, it's not the nomads, it's the merchants. So compass or paper making. So you can argue that. So when asked, Sabrina was asking, when asked to identify, does the answer need to be like one specific yes, Mr. Beckman just said use the words from the prompt. So if it's asking like, yes, you're right. So like you can say one specific historical example of an cross. Yeah, yeah. Basically, use the STEM words, because not only does it help you, and not only does it like show like the graders that you're on the right track, But yeah, yes, restate the question. It's not being redundant. It's like your mind is like hardwired. Like I should answer it. Like you're. It's like you're starting it by with the help of the question. Like one historical example. So like you're not straying away because you don't want to not answer the problem instead of saying like, oh, back in the day, nomads traveled. No, we're asking a cultural exchange here. So I'm gonna keep that in mind. So we can go we'll go over this later because I think we'll have 10 minutes, but I can extend, but I want to address the questions for the four questions like here. So we'll go over that later. So Q&A. Don't worry if you have questions, just go on. I'll go over the questions. So if you Anthony is Anthony still here? Yes, good job, nice. Thanks for him. Okay, so Anthony's here. He wants to know about development in Southeast Asia between 1200 to 1450. So Unit One. So, um, I gotta admit, like South and Southeast Asia during this time, especially Southeast Asia, it's like underrated. It's like barely it was barely covered. We always talk about Central Asia. We always talk about China. We always talk about Africa to some degree, but there's no mention about Southeast Asia. So I'm not surprised. So, um, what you need to know is that like you want to look big picture. So India during this time, India and Southeast Asia, if you look at the map, they were along the coast, they're along not the coast, they're along the ocean. So they were major participants in the Indian Ocean trade network. So basically they were like they traded like their goods, they traded their products with like other regions. So like with um Muslim merchants in the Middle East with Chinese merchants. So basically, they were like the center of like Indian Ocean trade, like that region, because it makes sense. They're in the middle area. So that is one. And if you want some political examples, like in the Khmer Kingdom, in Cambodia, in like the Srivijaya Kingdom, like leaders, it's like every other empire. They used buildings. They used like these huge monuments to to flex their power, if modern terms. So like if you might hear the Angkor Wat in Cambodia, it's like a religious place. Like you can see how one powerful the leaders of the Khmer Kingdom are, and two how devoted they are to their religion, and also religions diffused, the religion spread throughout the once again it's the Indian Ocean trade network, so religion spread. So um so like you know how Buddhism started in India and went down to Southeast Asia, um and then back to China. Hinduism spread to like even the major religions. So like from Europe or the Middle East, Islam, or the four major religions you need to know: Buddhism, Islam, Hinduism, and Christianity. It's like all these major religions always spread at any like since it started, it always spread. And some bonus details: they had this rice agriculture in Southeast Asia. India back then was divided. So the northern half, it's not the India we know today. India, the northern half of India is Islam. It's under the what we call the Delhi Sultanate. And guess what? A sultanate like is led by a sultan, which we know as like an as an Islamic Muslim leader. So that northern half, like they tried to invade the south, but they kind of failed. So it's still like natively Hindu, like a Hinduism. So like which originated in India. So hope it answers the question. If you have more questions, just ask me or everyone else in like the Fiveable website. So number two, how did Islam expand the empire? Good questions, Anthony, by the way. So Islam expanded, even every other religions expanded three ways, three or two. One is via conquest. So if you conquer, let's say let's say let's say you're in America, you conquer Africa, you conquer, I don't know, India. So there's a chance that like if you're a Christian, you want to impose Christianity um, throughout the empire, because like honestly it makes more sense, it makes organization better, because you know that how religions have different beliefs, and you want everyone, you don't want unity, you don't want your empire to crumble like 3, 2, 1, oops, gone. Like it's like a Jenga board, like it's like gone. You don't want that, so you want everyone to follow the same religion as yours. So, and usually it's forced adoption. If either you had a choice or you're not, and you're dead. So people didn't have a choice. So, oh, yeah, Islam expanded empire. Sorry, I thought I misread the question. So Islam expanded empire by conquest, trade. So you're talking about religion, right? So trade. Um, so as these merchants interacted, like these different merchants interacted, like some were like interested in reported back to like their the higher ups, and they're like, oh, it's an interesting religion. That's one part, and like some leaders of like these like other empires were like, if you want to win over these potential trade trade partners, we want to change our religion so we can have like a spiritual connection. So some leaders did that, and that's how they expanded too. So that's one. And then some leaders adopted like religion like voluntarily. So um, just out of interest. And when a leader adopts like, especially a well adored leader, when he adopts a religion, like there's a tendency that the people under his empire will also adopt it. So um, you're good. So that's another way. But if you're talking, but primarily, it's not like people back there were buddy buddy. Like it's mostly conquest, realistically. So it's more like the more than it's a Game of Thrones. So hope it helped. Okay, next we have um Veronia. Are you still here? Yes, nice. So can you go over Hippo? Can you please go over Hippo? Actually, interesting. I went over this before in like the study session before, but don't worry, I got you. So Hippo, um, this is strategy for everyone else. It's a strategy used for and analyzing documents, especially for a DBQ. So it's basically an acronym. So H stands for, so basically, once again, you want to analyze your document using the Hippo strategy. It's a strategy. So yeah, okay. H stands for historical context. So what's going on? Look at the document. Look at the caption. What's going on? Um, Actually, let me go back like a couple of slides. Oop, oop, oop. Let's see. Yeah, some people use happy too. Anyways, I'm not gonna go over that. I mean, not that I'm not going over that, but let's see. No, not this one. Okay, like here. So, like H is historical context. You want to place a time period where it is. So here, like it's construction of Chinampas. It's the 1500s. So this is where you place what's going on. It was during the I don't know, post-classical era or the early modern era. So um, you want to know who the author is. You want to know who these people are in the picture. Are these Aztecs? Are these Mayans? Are these Europeans? You want to know what's going on literally. So these people are planting. These are doing agriculture. So that's H. I'm sorry. I is intended audience. Usually it's in the annotations or the caption. So you want to know whoever Jose Muropico is, who is he like reaching out to? Who is his audience? Who is he showing this picture of like these people to? Are he showing these to like, is he showing these to like people who are like, in an art exhibit? Or is he reaching out to modern day people, or is he reaching out to people during the time period? So you wanna, oops. Okay, you want to keep that in mind. So that's I, intended audience. P number one is purpose. Why is he doing this? I can't come. I can. So it's usually two blanks. So why is he doing this? What's the reason behind it? So you can say to depict the life in the Aztec civilization during 1500. That's like a possible answer. It could be like just to be spiteful and petty. It's a huge it's opinionated. So basically, it's how you interpret it. It's no right or wrong answer. So that's the first P. Second P, POV, point of view. Like, what is he representing here? Is he with the natives, or is he against the natives who are doing this? These Aztecs. Like basically historical bias. So is he being like spiteful towards them? He's like showing them like literally being like ragged people, or is he being like respectful. He's showing like the original beauty of like these people like doing this. They're just chilling out in the fields. That's P, perspective. Usually we stop there, but I know you're talking about O or Y. O is usually, I think some teachers do it like how my teacher did it. O is basically how you organize, how you group all these documents. So in a DBQ, there are 7 documents. I recommend you analyze all of them. So how you group them. So like let's say you have like 7 documents about these Aztec natives. So you can group them like one group is like what they're like being glorifying these natives, and if this other group is like against the natives, like the Europeans who came eventually conquer them. So you want to group them. That's it. Oh, that's organization. Okay. So it's kind of a really rough overview, but hope it helped you. We call this. Hope it helped you. So going back, I think there's another question. Please go over hippos. Okay, what is the significance of women in East Asia? So, um, if you remember, East Asia. So you're once again think of the context. Where is East Asia? East is here, and what's in East Asia? There's China, there's Japan. So during this time period, women were still like they were not equals. They were still expected to like defer to men and all stuff like that. But you see, Hitler, yeah, yes. Actually, oh yeah, I'm sorry, Verania. I mean, actually, that's just kind of my teacher thing, but like PO, hippo, like I think the po, like it's PO, not just like P and O, but I mean, to each their own. So hope I didn't confuse you. So going back to women in East Asia, so women back then were they're still kind of inferior, but um, like let's say China, like Confucianism, right? Like they're building a perfect society. They're building a like it's about merit. So like part of the yes, Mr. Beckman, you only need to do one of them with the document that you're writing about, not all of them. So going back to women, like the confusion, like there's like the filial piety, like the relationships between the master and the disciple, like the son to the father. So like women were expected to like defer to basically defer to the husbands. Like basically they're still kind of inferior, but um yeah, yeah, I mean they're still kind of inferior. And well there was kind of it'll change, it'll continue, and it'll quite a bit of changes throughout the history, but back then they're still kind of inferior. They didn't have like yes, social expectation. Yes, yes, good job. Expectation Chinese women should be dependent on their male relatives. So like they didn't have a say in like issues. Like they didn't get to vote. Was filial piety near Confucianism? Mm, filial piety continued to like a modified version of it, or like original, like continued to Neo Confucianism, but like it started with the original, the OG Confucianism. So it's not like mutually exclusive to like one of the two. It's like I mean Neo Confucianism emerged from Confucianism. So no worry, you're on the right track though. So good job. All right. Who is Joe? Abbasid Calvin. I'm talking about the Joe Mama joke. Yeah, nice. Okay. Do you want to talk about do you want to talk about the Abbasid Caliphate or okay, I'll just talk about it. So the Abbasid Caliphate is basically one of the two Islamic empires. Anthony kind of mentioned it, but it was during the post-classical era, like 600 CE, so if you took unit 0 to 4050. So like this is during like after how Muhammad establishes Islam in like the Middle East, and he dies, and then these people like are trying to succeed him. These people like succeed him. We call it caliphates. So caliphates are basically like they're basically like their own cool term of like empire. So in Islam. So that's Abbasid Caliphate is one of the two caliphates, major caliphates, but they expanded, if I remember correctly, westward. So they went from Middle East to Northern Africa to Europe as far as Spain. So um, they stimulated. What you need to know is they kind of stimulated the golden age of Islam, where all these scholars from around the world went to this like this major like region because like the math like scholarly works like about architecture. It's like the Renaissance actually. I mean, I shouldn't bring up terms, but it's pretty much like the like a wave of knowledge and scholarship and academics that emerged. So hope that answered your question. So any other questions, guys? Ooh, wait. I think that's a question. Joe. Okay. Okay. Creeper. Oh man. Okay. Let's see. I'll go over this real quick. I'll go over this real quick. Nice try. So this is an image of the cat. This is from the calendar. So you can see how documents have questions. So you want to do the hippo if you want to practice on that. So this is the Catalan Atlas with inscription by Abraham Cresques. So it's like a map drawn by a guy named Abraham Cresques. He hasn't visited West Africa, but he relied on the accounts of travelers to make this map. And it says here in the inscription that this Black Lord is called Musa Mali. You're gonna learn about him. He's the richest dude ever. If you haven't, learn the Black people of Mali. So abundant is the gold which is found in his country that he's the richest and most noble king in all the land. Yes, Anthony, this is in Islam. But this is not the Islamic Empire talking about. This is the Islamic, like, actually, no. This is just like independent. Like, eventually he becomes Islam, he becomes a Muslim, but this is like before that. So then, once like the Middle Easterns interact with Africans, so let's just kind of later, not really later on, but not immediately after the Abbasid Caliphate or the Islamic empires expanded. It eventually expanded though to Africa. So I like your train of thought. So going back, it says here, Mansa Musa is seated on a gold throne, wearing a gold crown, holding a gold scepter and a huge gold coin. So you can tell he's flexing all his gold. Everything's gold. And the lines are trade routes converging in Mali. So Mali, so this is a city or a town in Africa. This is a trade. Gotcha, Kuchiko. This is a central location. This is where all the trade happens. It's one of those trade centers. Let's go to the questions. Identify one aspect of the sourcing of this document and explain how it influences the document. So this is really technical. You can see like what's the sourcing of the document. So I'll give you a hint. It's another word for POV. Once again, doing the hippo thing, like the point of view of whoever wrote this, whoever drew this. So if you remember when I was talking about earlier, this was the atlas by this some dude in Spain who drew a map based on like travelers. So you can say that it's from a European guy, first and foremost, and medieval Spanish dude to be more map maker to be specific. Don't use casual words like I'm saying dude. No. Don't be like me. And you can also you can say how there's quite a dash of racism there. Like he's outright saying black. He's not saying African. He's saying black. So you can say that because point of view matters. Everything matters. Like gender, race, ethnicity, social class. So you wanna focus on all that. You wanna nail down as many things as possible. But there's also admiration. You can look at the tone that he's saying. He is the most rich. He is the richest. He is the most noble. If you're mad at your mom or dad, I mean, are you gonna like praise them? No, no, you're not. So you can talk about the tone and like how he's a European and there's quite a bit of racism. So got this. B, identify and explain one similarity. Also, some SAQs also focus on the key AP skills. Comparison, like like what's the same, what's the difference? Continuity and change, what changed over time, what continued over time. Like slavery continued for a long while empires changed throughout like, centuries. And lastly, cost and effect. What cost this? What was the effect of this? So going back here, it's a similarity. So it's a compare contrast between the trade and exchange networks of West Africa and another major Afro-Eurasian network in the period. So this is long. The wording is once again technical. Basically, they want you to compare. They want a similarity between like the West African Trade Network, which is if you know the term, it's good. It's we call it the Trans-Saharan Trade Network because it's along the Sahara Desert. So You can also call that, West African Trade Network if you don't know the answer. That's a good thing about the wording of this question. So you want to compare it to Trans-Saharan Trade Network and another Afro-Eurasian network. Now you're gonna like, what's Afro-Eurasia? Just think about it. Here's Africa, here's Europe, and here's Asia. Where did they converge? Where did they meet? You're right. It's the Middle East. If you're not right, so it's the Middle East. So like, think of like any trade network that reached the Middle East. Let's see. Let's narrow it down. We already got the Sahara Desert network or Trans-Saharan network. We already got the Indian Ocean trade network. No, no, no. That didn't touch Middle East even often. Yes. Saharan trade is also for West Africa, so it's another name. And guess what's another one? The Silk Roads. Did the Silk Roads reach the Middle East? Yes. So you can compare West Trans-Saharan Saharan trade network and the Silk Road, for instance. You can also argue actually the Indian Ocean trade network because they approach the coast. So whatever you want to use. So, but in both cases, um, these trade networks involve the diffusion of religion. So you can like start with a broad statement. Since this is explained, they started so like both both Saharan trade network and Silk Roads or Indian Ocean trade network involve the diffusion of religions, the spread of religions, and then you can go with examples. So um, from the Silk Roads, Islam went no, eastwards to India and China and Southeast Asia, even like that's barely part of Southeast Asia, and to the African kingdoms, it went down east. Actually, no, that's Sahara. Anyways, I don't want to throw you guys off. So Buddhism traveled from India to China. Islam went from Middle East to India to some part of China, but it failed. So that's the Silk Road. Um, you can talk about the Sahara Desert. Islam went from the Middle East down to the kingdoms like Mali. There's a lot more like the Congo kingdoms. You can talk about the kingdom Axum. Like this is where you need. This is the only reason why you need historical examples. This is why you only need to know the terms, so you can use them as evidence. You don't need to know all of them. You only need to know some good examples. So once again, yeah, Islam went from Middle East to Africa, stuff like that, and you want to structure it like that. So Christianity went to Africa to some degree. There's this one kingdom called let's see if I remember. No, I don't. I think it's called Ethiopia. So you can argue that like religions traveled across these networks. Next, it's same question, but we want a difference. So okay, here's a tip. Don't overthink things. I know you probably think of a Venn diagram in your mind. Don't over Even the simplest things matter. If you have a good argument in it, just go for it. So it's actually easier. What do they have not in common? So you can say like the Silk Roads use horses and the Saharan trade networks use camel. No, like the assertion statement, like the first statement, like answers like, oh, they use different transportation technologies. So you can say the Silk Roads use horses, the African networks use camels. So you can say that. You can go as simple as that. You have a good shot at getting the point. Or you can go deeper, or actually it's not even deeper. Oh yeah, Indian Ocean is even easier to contrast. So yeah, it's true. So even in transportation, they use or boats. Yes, boats. So they use Indian Ocean use boats. Sahara Desert use camels. So you can argue that, and you can also talk about the geographical locations. So the Indian Ocean Trade Network and the Trans-Saharan Trade Network encompass different locations. So you can say that the Indian Ocean involved India, Southeast Asia, China. That's three for this team. And for the other team, Africa, Trans-Saharan Trade Network, it involved part of the Middle East, mostly West Africa. Then you can talk about the kingdoms again. So also you can say like the Silk Roads. Don't overthink. Once again, camel saddle, those are what makes land versus sea more specific. So you can also use if you want to go back to the similarities, the Silk Road and the Trans-Saharan, both were land networks, or so like lower land, so like Indian Ocean Trade Network or or Trans-Saharan Trade Network. Both, no, one is in land, one is in water. Like, don't overthink it. You only have 13 minutes to do this, and might as well get the point fabulously. So, hope that answers you. Hope that helped you guys. So, going back here, do you have questions? I just like threw some like random terms here since most of you are in Unit 1. You don't have to memorize all of them, but if you have questions on them, you want to know like more about them, just tell me, let me know. So, all right. What is junk? So Mr. Beckman mentioned dough. So junk is like it's not like what we know today is junk. Junk is like it's either I don't know, I don't remember which kind of boat, but it's a kind of boat. So you can use that as evidence on like trade networks. So like I think it's Southeast Asian. Oh no, it's Chinese. Yeah. So Chinese ship. Yes. Good job. Yes, yeah, Mr. Beckman. So they know. Yes, junk. Yes, EP. All right. Any other question? Any other specific? Yes, yes. Any other terms you want to know, Joe? I like how you went from like those jokes to like yeah puns. I like it. Yeah. Anything else, guys? By the way, if you guys have tests like this week, good luck. You're gonna nail it. You can always ask us in like that resource I linked earlier. And yeah, on Tuesday. That's a dad jokes. Ooh, good luck, Anthony. I think you're in unit 1 because you're gonna don't worry if you're gonna nail it. You're here, you're at the right place. So this study session is the right place for you. Why was is this a joke? Okay, is this a joke? Okay. Um if not, okay, so Timur Lane was lame because I think he got injured in battle. So he's one of those like founders of like those Turkish empires later on. But I think it was in battle, if I remember correctly. But you can look it up on your own. But I think it was during battle, or it was inborn. Yeah, the poor guy. Either way, sad. I mean, hey, I mean to be fair, you participated in here, so okay. Oh, no, yeah, okay. Okay. Any other questions, guys? I like this study session. You guys are cool. All right, I'll do a last call in like 30 seconds. So just throw me your questions. I know you have questions. All right, guys, that's it. So, yeah. Oh, two people got banned. So, thank you guys um, for viewing with me, guys. Like, you guys are the best. Like, you guys are good participants. I can't even speak. So, thank you guys for participating with my practice questions and my polls. Like, I like you guys. You guys are the best once again. So, once again, if you have any questions or I'm gonna bring it back. So, you can always chat with us here. No. Here. Go to Fiveable with me. We have in our website on the side. There's the bottom right corner. There's a bubble icon. Just chat with us. Like first, it's gonna say Amanda, but like someone will take over, and it might be me, maybe Mr. Beckman. Like, oh, dude, oh yeah. Also give props to Mr. Beckman. He's the best history teacher like in Fiveable. So. Okay, so just talk with us, very epic. So just talk with us, if you need help. So good job, guys. No. Anyways, once again, need help. Read that real quick, take a snapshot, and we're gonna have more of this. Don't worry. I think next week or 2 week. Okay, we're going down the meme route. Okay, we should just talk. You should talk to me. Okay, so if you need more help, once again, we have lots of weekly streams. We can talk about labor. We can talk about religion. We talk about empire. We can talk about gender. So there's a lot of things to cover. We also have these study sessions either next week or in 2 weeks for the East Coast people, but you can always jump in. So, all right. 2% later. All right. Enough of this. So thank you guys. Bye-bye. You guys are the best, I swear.